Hello everyone. Mountains can be full of surprises. At these moments, you truly grasp the raw power lurking on their rugged slopes. We've gathered rare footage of mountain avalanches so that you can see the overwhelming force of this natural phenomenon with your own eyes. This video gives you a sense of what a driver goes through when facing a landslide.
Unbelievable.
A guy heading to Sausalito, California, described how the top of a roughly 3-meter cliff suddenly gave way, shattering into smaller rocks along the way. Watching the video gives you chills. The boulders, each about half a meter around, are massive. The look on the man's face says it all. He has every reason to thank the universe. There's no telling when the boulder will lose its balance and plummet down. With its mass, it'll gain speed just like a cannonball. This man was heading back home to Taipei after celebrating the Lunar New Year with friends in a nearby town. Well, he'll never forget this New Year break when he had a really close call. We're in the Alps in northern Italy. This incident clearly shows how cautiously one should tread when encroaching upon nature's domain. Builders were reshaping the terrain to start the construction of 2 apartment buildings at the base of this nearly vertical cliff. Thankfully, cracks and noise alerted the workers, prompting them to stop and step back. Despite the alarm, no one expected what happened next. A massive slab of rock detached from the cliff face in mere seconds, crashing down onto the construction site and destroying equipment. Look at how effortlessly it broke away from the rock. Clearly, construction safety in this area will need further evaluation. This video is a crucial warning. Never go to areas that have recently experienced geological activity. While hiking with his husky Rio on a mountain trail near his home in Peru, a guy noticed the ground looked unusual, as if something strange had happened here recently. Suddenly, the ground shifted beneath him, and he called out to Rio, but the dog didn't make it back in time. A landslide quickly carried Rio hundreds of meters down the slope. It's a terrifying moment when you're unsure what to do. Thankfully, Rio was unharmed by the rocks, branches and soil, and after a few minutes he returned to his owner, scared but safe. Watching the construction site camera footage, you can't help but question the builder's competence. The supporting wall around the future building's foundation gave way under the soil's pressure, triggering a landslide right onto the construction area. It even took down soil and trees with it. Geologists found the situation so dangerous that nearby homes had to be evacuated. It looks like making the foundation has created major problems for the entire community. Iceland's black beaches are a truly unique spot. The sand and rocks are genuinely black, thanks to volcanic activity. Naturally, this stunning landscape attracts tourists. However, walking here requires caution. The cliffs are unpredictable. Huge rock slides can unexpectedly crash down from above into the chilly Atlantic waters. 2 groups of tourists had to scramble to safety, thanking their lucky stars that the falling rocks didn't come their way. Travelers in Switzerland managed to capture a spectacular moment on video when a massive rock slide tumbled down onto a glacier below. It's yet another endless transformation shaping our planet. No, this isn't a scene from a sci-fi movie, but a real natural event. A startling event took place in La Paz, Bolivia's largest city. La Paz itself is remarkable. It's located in the crater of a dormant volcano and stands as the world's highest capital. The incident occurred in a neighborhood with a troubled past. It was once a landfill and later became an area with unplanned development, including the construction of 5-story buildings. Unfortunately, proper geological surveys weren't done before the building began. Residents first noticed houses shifting, and then this terrifying landslide began engulfing their neighborhood. People had to be evacuated, with 66 houses buried under the earth. On this day, 2 drivers in Himachal Pradesh were making their way through a downpour on a flooded road when a huge landslide happened right before their eyes. Had they been moving faster, they would have been buried under it. Luckily, the driver in front noticed the danger and began to reverse. It'd be smart to thoroughly inspect similar areas after this incident. One can't help but envy the bravery of these workers. Chances are they're standing so near to the landslide because they've dealt with similar situations before. Road collapses are a constant problem in India. Here's another video proof of how risky it can be when humans disrupt the delicate balance of the environment. People living near mountains deal with landslides on a regular basis. In this video from northern India, where the majestic Himalayas rise, another landslide forces people to run, dodging the rocks and trees hurtling down. Sudden rock falls pose a constant threat to climbers.
Oh, Julián, no me la creo, weón.
Chunks of rock in various sizes are hurtling at dangerous speeds, bouncing unpredictably off cliffs. It's a real challenge. For climbers, quick reactions and a bit of luck are often the only things that save them. One of the most powerful landslides ever caught on video happened in the mountains of Yemen. Check out as a massive heap of rocks collapses onto a road, scaring people fleeing in fear. Luckily, this was a second landslide, and locals were alert and no one was hurt. Watching ice carving from glaciers is one of the most spectacular natural shows on the planet. Every year, over 12,000 icebergs of various sizes break off from Greenland's glaciers alone. While it's a mesmerizing sight, watching it demands caution, especially with large icebergs. When this happens, it creates strong waves on the surface, and ice fragments can unexpectedly surface in unpredictable places.
Okay. Yes, ist nah. Okay, jetzt gerade eine riesen Wetterknuss haben.
Everyone knows about the Alps, but have you heard of the Southern Alps? Hint, they're in the Southern Hemisphere too. This mountain range is in New Zealand, and the rockfall you're seeing was captured right there. It's more than just a rockfall. It looks like a whole mountainside is collapsing. Sometimes a small shift sets off a chain reaction, moving massive amounts of rock. It's just amazing how this rock has been still for thousands of years and is now crumbling before our eyes. This is known as a mudflow, a typical story for mountain rivers such as this small stream in Switzerland. Mudflows usually happen in spring or summer, when snow melts or there are consecutive days of heavy rain. Such a stream of water mixed with up to 75% of rock fragments races down the riverbed or canyon floor at an average speed of 5 meters per second. Due to its velocity and mass, this phenomenon carries enormous destructive energy, and history has seen many tragedies where mudflows wiped out entire towns. But if the flow stays within its channel, like in this case, everything is fine. In some parts of the world, dealing with the quirks of mountains is as common as dealing with the weather. Almost daily, plans can change due to yet another landslide. This is the everyday reality for residents of the aptly named Mountain Province in the Philippines. They find themselves stuck in traffic jams caused by landslides, watching as the collapse blocks their only route, a winding road around the gorge. This almost sheer cliff has been shaped over centuries by weathering, temperature fluctuations, rain, and underground water. Such mountains are always incredibly scenic, especially when adorned with tropical vegetation, like in this Nepalese village. However, they are unpredictable. In this video, the latest monsoon season pushed the mountain's patience to its limit. It crashes down into the river, sending water fountains splashing and disrupting its usual flow. These clashes of the elements always look amazingly epic. In snowy mountain regions, spring is the most dangerous time due to frequent avalanches. Warmed by the sun, snow and ice become heavy and wet, swiftly cascading down slopes, sweeping everything in their path. Brave climbers captured this classic spring avalanche in the French Alps on video. Mixing with a stream, it ends its rapid descent at the bottom of the valley. The explosion of water droplets instantly creates a rainbow, a breathtaking sight. The trajectory of a landslide depends on many factors and is nearly impossible to predict. It almost seems at times like there's a malevolent force guiding it. Just witness how the dust wave from the landslide engulfs the bell tower of the old church, like a tsunami. Yet, remarkably, the historic structure emerged nearly unscathed. The large debris that could have ruined this Italian architectural gem didn't make it to the church. This video from Hastings, a seaside resort in southern England, captures its stunning cliffs and the powerful tides of the English Channel, making it a picturesque spot for walks. The guy who filmed this captured a truly epic moment at the battle between sea and land. A layer of rock, as if sliced off the cliff, plunges straight into the churning waves below. Landslides can sometimes look like scenes from an apocalyptic movie. There's something hypnotic about mountains and hills which are meant to be solid and stable, suddenly starting to slide and destroy everything around them. That's exactly the impression you get from this landslide in Colombia. Luckily, it only caused material damage. It's true that landslides, when they happen far from human settlements and buildings out in nature, have a unique beauty to them. Take this landslide in the jungles of India, looking almost like a grand waterfall. Tropical storms often lead to geological threats and can escalate into crisis situations within minutes. On that day in Malaysia, tourists captured the moment when a wide mudslide quickly blocked the road. Often, the best way to avoid future risks is a controlled blast that triggers a controlled collapse. Check out the well-planned operation by geologists and demolition experts in Norway to protect port elevator workers from potential threats. Of course, it's impossible to predict the trajectory of every fragment with absolute certainty, but in this case, they ensured the rockfall happened only after evacuating everyone. A fascinating video. A rock slide on a forested shore filmed from a passing boat. This video was taken in Chile, in a small town on the Pacific Ocean coast.
Wow.
This guy looks like he's in control, but the truth is, you can never predict the size of a landslide. His strategy isn't exactly reliable either. Sliding of loose rock might look somewhat safer than collapses of heavy boulders, but they're equally hazardous and even more unpredictable. Evacuating to a safe distance and waiting out the active phase is the best choice for road workers. Human error isn't a common cause of rock slides, but it can happen. In this case, it seems that just a simple touch was enough to bring down a rock that had been standing there since the Ice Age.
It's gone.
Apparently, it was already hanging by a thread, and these guys made the climbing safer. Sometimes landslides look like the mountains are shaking off the excess soil and trees to reveal their true form. Massive boulders majestically tumble down the mountain, crashing into the glacier in New Zealand. An awe-inspiring sight for any fan of geology and wild nature. Tourists at the Argentière ski resort in the French Alps were lucky enough to film an awe-inspiring event. The ice breaking off a huge glacier looked like a waterfall in slow motion. The breathtaking footage, along with the sound of the wind and ice crashing against the rocks, made the scene even more epic. This video shows the efforts to clean up after a massive landslide that occurred during road clearing in a forest area in Idaho. The road workers had to literally run away from gigantic boulders bouncing like tennis balls. Huge pine trees were uprooted. Now, engineers are using controlled explosions to prevent further landslides and make sure the area is safe.
Dit gaat af. Ja, bos. Man.
The most important thing during a rock slide is to stay far away from it. But if you find yourself in a safe spot with a good view, you're in for an amazing show. Take, for example, this rock slide in southern Germany. While the Alps are famous for their serene landscapes and chocolate, you can see the true power of nature here. This is a truly massive rock slide, which sent hundreds of kilograms of rock crashing into the valley. What's really impressive is how the biggest boulders just keep rolling, almost like giant bowling balls.
Wil jij geen zaadje nou?
Sometimes a rock slide joins forces with an avalanche. It's a disaster duo, just like Godzilla and King Kong. However, one could expect something like this from this mountain. After all, this is Mount Rainier, the highest peak in the Cascade Range and one of the main volcanoes in the USA. It last showed volcanic activity about 100 years ago, so it could awaken at any moment. Mount Rainier, like other stratovolcanoes, has a steep, lofty profile and is crowned by 40 glaciers spanning almost 100 square kilometers at its peak. This geological makeup makes climbing extremely difficult, with constant risks of dangerous avalanches and rockfalls. The rock slide captured in these images is the biggest landslide we've seen in years. It was so intense that even seismographs picked it up. This time, a 15-meter slide from the Nisqually Glacier covered several kilometers. Experts explain that the volcano's heat actually contributes to these landslides. The magma warms water and gases, which loosens the rock on the slopes. Rockfalls pose a constant threat to logistics in the mountainous regions. Often, only one road passes through a gorge or over a pass, and if the mountains decide to block it, like in this case, it can disrupt life in an entire region. Fixing roads after landslides is often a complex task that needs careful planning and heavy machinery. You can't rule out the risk of another slide, and when you're dealing with massive boulders like the one that hit the highway in Colorado, it's a real threat. This rock is the size of a small garage. Imagine what it could do to an excavator.